One thing that I really want people to get is that you're very direct with yourself, you're very hard on yourself, but that you also have a deep love and respect, and even I would say compassion for yourself. How do you foster those things? Do you have a strategy, a story you tell yourself, something you say, like?
Yeah, of course. I always try to start my day with some sort of affirmation of how I tell myself, or you're reading, and then it's also what I surround my life with, working out and taking care of myself, is the biggest, I think, one of the biggest things you can do for self-love is showing that you love yourself enough to invest in your body, right? And the people I hang out with people that only challenge, support, and love me unconditionally. I don't have any negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers. I don't have time for it. I always say to people when they're trying to change their friends, I'm like, well, if you knew about them what you know now, would you still want to hang out with them? And if the answer is no, then get them out of your life, right? And I think it's also just gratitude and just being grateful and just showing love that, you know what, Doug, you've accomplished a lot in your life. So, and it's always a dance between being hard on yourself and because if you're not hard on yourself, it's really hard to get stuff done, and loving yourself and being you know what, it's okay, get back up. But I think they go hand in hand, because when you fall, you got to have the self-love to say, you know what, it's okay, you tried, get back up. And then, because then the hard on yourself person will be like, you idiot, you missed, stay down, stay down, stay down. And I think it just also goes back to the story you tell yourself inside your head. Because I think our belief system about ourselves can be so hijacked based on what others say about us. And then we start to believe it, whether it's you're ugly, you're a pussy, you suck, you're unathletic, and then sure enough, if it happens over years, you start to believe that about yourself if you have no confidence in who you are. And I think the more you can own who you are, and just chase after your own dreams and stop worrying about everybody else, then those things start to become lies. When people are saying, you know what, you're a piece of shit, you suck, if you know about yourself, that's not true. That's what self-love is. It's just really knowing truly inside of you who you are.
I want to go back to something that you said about life beating the piss out of us. How do we stop that exactly?
You got to put the fire out somehow. You got to kind of look and address the situation and say, okay, what do I need to do to improve and get past the situation? What's the solution? What can I control?
Is that how you were thinking when you first got out of jail? You had the felony conviction and you were applying for jobs? So I know that was a pretty rough time for you.
Well, I knew there was a lot I couldn't control. I knew I couldn't control if somebody said yes to hiring me. I knew I couldn't control, the way my parents treated me. I knew I couldn't control, what people said to me, but I knew the only thing I could control is who I chose to spend time with. I could control my exercise, I can control my work ethic, getting down, pounding the pavement every day and knocking on doors to get a job, and how I felt about myself, my belief system in myself, because I knew, Tom, that even though when I got out of jail, I really didn't believe in myself all that much because I had no real right to, but I knew I had to fake it till I make it, in that sense, that if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I just knew, I guess I got kind of lucky, if you will, in a way, that I knew that everything I did up until the point I got into jail was so far wrong that I had to try something completely different. And if it was whatever I did before, I was what's the opposite? I'm going to do it. Oh, I didn't want to hold a job or bang on doors to get a job. Oh, I'm going to do that. Or if I didn't want to run, I'll do that. And so when I talk to people, I tell them, I'm listen, you have to, the more you can align, the more you can narrow that gap between what you want most and what you do, that's when success really happens. Because we have great intentions as people to change. Everybody wants to change. There's not one person that wants to be a drug addict. There's not one person that wants to be 100 pounds overweight. The problem is that we end up doing things because we're looking so far ahead to the future that we almost self-sabotage ourselves because we're worrying so much what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years from now, when we just really need to focus on what we can do today to make sure we become the best version of ourselves. What can I control today? And then tomorrow. And then the next day. It's life's a game of inches, right? And it's it's great to have 5, 10, 15-year visions, because I think it's important, but not once does any of that ever say, don't do anything daily. Just have the goal and just do it. It always comes back to what you need to do every single day.